Welcome back, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. We are your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. Everybody who's with us on the Twitch, thank you for joining us. BC Scrubs, pretty sure my mom is watching. Hello to everybody who's here so far. BC Scrubs, he's been sick this week, so struggled to wake up. Oh
Oh,
man, thank you for
buddy,
waking
thanks
up.
for coming on and
For hanging
watching.
out
If
with
you need to sleep, do it after the show.
So everybody who's tuned in on Twitch, thumbs up. Thank you. For those who watch on YouTube, hit that rate and subscribe button, and all the podcast platforms that are out there that you might be listening to, not watching, but listening to. Thank you as well for downloading, and hit that subscribe button. Give us a review. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
But of course, last but not least, the OmniverseComics.guide website, where this gentleman here, my friend Dave, I'm talking to you, handsome. The Omniverse Comics Guide is your one-stop shop for reading orders, reviews, all the podcasts and videos and things that we've got related to the show are there. And if you want to get into reading a series, you want to know where to start, where to begin, what's missing in between, Dave's reading orders are top-notch. You're going to have a great time going through it. It's been helpful to me. I say it all the time. It's the truth. But let's get into our incoming. I find the summer months have a lot more things to pick.
It does pick up. You're right. It does pick up in the summer.
Just be that people want to spend money because the weather's nice. They're in a better mood.
They want to go
treat themselves
out
to something.
In the sun.
But that's what I like to do. I know you don't. You're like a gremlin. Bright light, bright light.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like a gremlin crossed with a vampire crossed with woodlouse.
What?
A gremlouse-pyre.
Yeah, that could be a comic. That's something Marvel would have printed that in the 90s.
They would have printed anything. They would have printed 22 pages of my ass in the 90s, to be fair to them.
My ass.
But I'm right?
General. Yeah.
Drawn by Del Barris. Every page.
Oh, that's so funny. Like we were saying, the summer months seems to be a good time to go to a comic shop and see a lot of new stuff and retro collections coming out. So,
and speaking of new stuff, before we start, we've got the Omniverse Mail Bag. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So I received this in the post today. I'm not going to show the address. That would be foolishness. I have just flocking. People would just descend on my address. Like, 100%. There's no tomorrow. So I don't know what it is. It's addressed to Omniverse Dave, which I think was a Smith song.
It does sound like a Smith song. Were you a Smiths fan?
No, my sister was. But he's a bit of a racist, so...
Is it what you thought?
Oh my god. Is there a note in here? Okay, hang on. Let me just check if there's a note. There's a note in here.
Nice.
Oh man. I'm made up. Oh, shit, I just dropped it.
You're cute. Look at you.
I'm 12 again.
Yeah.
All right. So, there's a note to Omniverse Dave. Thanks for all your support on the socials. You're the best. Oh, we're so grateful. Enclosed is a humble offering with love from Pie, Rob, and Charlotte. Little smiley face. Some art under here. Some art? Did they mean this? I've got a sticker. And it says Petrolhead. So they've sent me a copy of the Petrolhead trade paperback.
Nice. That comes out in July, doesn't it?
This is out now. I think pretty much out now or out next week. I think either or. It's out very, very soon. We did it in our incoming last month.
Okay.
It's drawn by Pie Parts, written by Rob Williams. It's a future setting thing with robots racing each other. But then there's like an element of rebellion in there. It's like the city's controlled by, I don't know yet because I haven't read the book. But oh my god, there it is. That is beautiful. Dude, I'm really excited. I've read the first issue of Petrolhead and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So
we may revisit it on a later episode.
Well, if it's not, I'll be surprised. In the
future,
because frankly, I've kind of penciled it into my list. Just a spoiler there. Pie's art is amazing. Like, look at this. Look at this. The detail in his artwork on those vehicles.
That's cool.
And the way he adds the The words,
Very nice.
the sound
Yeah,
effects, the
yeah,
onomatopoeia.
yeah. I like that. That's very nice.
Yeah.
That might have to make it into one of my carts as well.
Well, it's a really good price as well. I know I'm not saying this because I've been sent a free copy. I
Sure,
loved this
Dave.
first issue. If I didn't, I'd be
Sure.
going, oh, shit, what do I do? And I'm crap. I've got no poker face. But I'm made up. I'm so made up.
That's so funny.
Oh. Oh, okay.
There you go. Oh, we're done. That's the show for this week.
That's it. Thanks
Incoming,
for watching,
Petrolhead.
everybody.
Okay, Omni Dave. Why don't you do the number one pick for incoming this month? Because you let me go first last
Oh,
week.
did I? Okay.
Yes.
Lovely. Right. So, my number one pick for this week, well, my first pick for this week is something we've been raving about so much in the last few weeks. It's a Valiant title, and it's Valiant Hero Universe Origins OManowar. Collects OManowar numbers 1 to 18 of the 2011 series. They're doing a run of all their original series from that period, and like 18 issues, like 400, you know, the kind of epic collection size. They're doing a whole bunch of them. So if you jump on the Valiant Instagram page, you'll see them all on there, and they're done in such a way that the spines all match up, so it's like worth getting the set. To the point where, and this is a big deal for me, you know, I'm a deluxe guy as much as you. I'm pondering selling off my deluxes in case these end up being, you know, if they're popular enough, they may then do the next chunk along.
I really hope so.
Hmm.
Like I desperately want to have more Valiant centric episodes,
Hmm.
but you don't know if people can get their hands on the books anymore.
Well, now
And
they
it's a
can.
real shame
Yeah.
because now they can.
Now they can.
And that's a great pick. It's such a good comic book universe
Yeah.
that is very easy to get into and find your way around without feeling bogged down by 10 X-Men books and this miniseries and that. Like
Absolutely.
it's so good. I can't speak highly enough. And Exo Manowar, Robert Venditti did I think 52 episodes, 52 issues of that series.
He did that first series, and then he had Kerry Nord, Lee Garbett, Trevor Hairsign. I mean, those Kerry Nord does not get enough credit for his.
He does not get enough credit.
Not at all. He's so good. And I remember when he was drawing Daredevil in the 90s, and you can see how his style has developed, and it's such just a beautiful style. And I think because he did Conan with Busiek in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I really want that just because of his art. I love his art.
It's good stuff.
It's very toned down. It's not like simplistic, but it's like it hits the notes, and it's just so well done. And then you take him on a book like Conan, and you put him on OManowar, which is like tech heavy, and it works. Like it works. And Trevor Hairsign is great on it, and it's the drama and the politics and the way that concept would work in like the real world, because Valiant treats these characters as if they would exist in the real world. So the idea of, even though they've called it Valiant Hero Universe, it's not superheroes in the way that you know superheroes. It's done in a very modern, relevant way that makes you feel like, actually, yeah, this is what would happen. And that's what's great about it, because then you're invested, you're bought in. There's less suspension of disbelief, but it's still incredibly powerful and kinetic, and
it's so good. Like when they made the Bloodshot movie, I was happy that a movie in the Valiant universe was being made. I was just happy for them that they got to that point, but it doesn't nearly do it. Not because all the movies suck. Listen, it's an action movie. It is what it is. But OManowar, it's what they tried to do with the Superman, Man of Steel, the Man of Steel that came out. They were like, with OManowar, that works. Like, it's so good because, again, it was created by. I didn't get a chance to talk to Jim Shooter about it, but he not yet, but he was, one of the people who was at the helm of creating that Valiant universe. And there are a lot of things that if you've read comics before you read Valiant, you're going to see like, okay, this is their analog of what would be this in Marvel,
Mhm.
and this is kind of like a Green Lantern thing. Like but it's not that they're lifting or stealing the idea. It's just like every universe has these
You
analogs.
could say that about anything, couldn't you? I think it's like how you play it, and talking where we're talking about Exo Manowar and like the series of Exo Manowar that they're releasing in this book, 18 issues. It's so smart because it's you take those analogs a lot of the time, and it's still quite a simple idea because on the one hand they're sort of aiming them at kids. If it's Marvel, they're going to do a certain thing. There's still limitations. With Valiant, it doesn't seem to be there. It's like they're going balls to the wall. Let's just do it. Let's just do it and take the character where it goes and give the readers something to like hang on to. You're just on for the ride. There's
It's
no expectation for you to go like, you know what, this is Iron Man, so of course you're going to love it. Like, this is Exo Manowar, we're going to make you love it, which is the
yeah,
difference.
it's yeah. So I was gonna say to you before we began my process when I kind of do these lists. So I
Yeah,
do what you do. I pick what I've pre-ordered.
yeah,
Easy, that's coming, right? I bought it. I pick something that maybe I own already that I can talk about and maybe direct people towards something good if I own it.
yeah.
And then you can kind of show it as well.
Uh-huh,
Here's what you kind of get. And then things that I've I might blind buy or I didn't realize was even a thing.
uh-huh.
A chance. Here's where I might take a chance.
Yeah,
So
little
I think of
gamble, but
little gambles.
yeah,
So my pick, the Superman Volume 1 collection by Kurt Busiek,
lovely.
which is coming out July 16th. This takes place, if you're interested of like where does this fit into, the Superman story, continuity,
Mm.
yada yada yada. This is right after 52 or
Oh,
Infinite Crisis. So
right, right, right.
it's after Infinite Crisis, but you read it as though it's after 52.
Well, it's 1 year later, right? It was the 1 year later
Yes,
initiative or whatever you want to
exactly.
call them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where you find Superman, if you've read Infinite Crisis, but this is kind of the selling point of the book. So not really a spoiler, but here's what you're gonna find. Superman is that after Infinite Crisis, he's been depowered. How? Find out. You can look how that happens. But he's been depowered. And for the last year, because 52 is the main storyline taking place at DC and I guess comic book real time,
Mm.
that you're supposed to understand it and during that time, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are nowhere to be found in the DC universe for a year.
Uh-huh.
So what's been Superman been up to? Well, he's just been living a regular life as Clark in plain sight because he can't be Superman.
Yeah.
And where does he find him? That's where Kurt Busiek picks him up. And we talked about the Camelot Falls series.
Yes.
That is within this time of Kurt Busiek writing the book.
Oh, is
Because
it?
I think he was doing Action Comics as well as Superman.
That was my next question because I was going to look this up while you were talking, but that would be rude. Was because how many Superman titles are there at this point? Because I think they've whittled it down to 3, unless I'm mistaken. I
I
think it was Superman
remember.
Action and maybe like Adventures of Superman. I don't think Man of Steel existed anymore. Maybe.
I think they just went back to Superman in Action,
Oh, did they? It was just 2. Wow.
and yeah, and when they did Adventures of Superman, they also had Superman Confidential at the time, and then there was going to be All
Oh
Star
yeah.
Superman at the same time. I was buying those off the shelf. That's when I just started my job,
Oh God,
and
really?
I'd had disposable income, and I got into comics. I was like, I can finally buy comics. I can
Oh
afford them. So it was
dear,
right
I remember
after
that feeling.
Infinite Crisis Civil War was when I started to really collect.
What a time to be alive.
Right? What a great time.
Uh huh.
So this series picks up the pieces from Infinite Crisis and 52, but the first couple of stories it was Up and Away was the storyline and that's goes back and forth between Kurt Busiek and Jeff Johns writing Superman.
Oh.
This was my first like my first Superman book getting back into comics from when I was a teenager. I'm reading Kurt Busiek and Jeff Johns on Superman. I didn't realize at the time what that was, but now they're like two of my favorite writers of all time. Go figure. So I don't know if I'm gonna buy this particularly because I own all of it already, and I might. depending on how it's collected, because I don't know, it doesn't
I
show
think
on
it's
Amazon.
a standard size hardcover.
Okay.
But that's fine.
So
I
I
don't
don't.
care if it's got Superman on it, and especially if it's a hardcover, I'll buy it. There's this whole thing of people going, they don't release enough Superman stuff. And like when they did the, have I got one to hand? They did like the Superman City of Tomorrow trade paperbacks, and they were nice and chunky. They weren't like compendium level chunky, but they were nice books. And I remember thinking this could be a run of that. They'll just keep going, volume 3, volume 4, volume. And they got to
They
2.
should have. They got to
And they
2.
didn't. But part of that, I guess you could argue, is because DC kept going, we'll do this series of books. Here's volume 1. Good night, everybody. It's like, oh, come on.
No,
But
they're
now
gonna
they're
make it
doing it. They're doing it.
Yeah, they're gonna make it an omnibus. 100%.
They've got to. I mean, I
Yeah.
want to see so many more Superman Omnis, because there's so much there. How can you not? 4 titles a month for a good period, and then it was like 2 titles, and then the occasional kind of quarterly or like confidential and whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
too
No,
much
it
there
was.
to not do the omnibus route, or at least the compendium route. Come on.
They should do compendiums for it. I'm happy that it's coming out. I'm very happy that it's finally being collected in a way that is organized and hopefully continues and complete.
Right. So my second choice for tonight is Sam and Twitch Origins Book 1, which is from Image Comics. It's a Spawn spin-off. So the 2 detectives from Spawn. It's issues 1 to 13, 328 pages. I read this a long, long time ago. The art is by Angel Medina, and I swear there is art by Ashley Wood on this. It might just be the covers. It's a nasty, dark detective series. And it's written by a nasty, dark crime writer from that period who was cutting his teeth and making his name. And that was Brian Michael Bendis. So when Bendis was getting all his awards, it was for doing this kind of stuff. He was just really good at it. And that's what landed him Daredevil, which was just exceptional. And I know that he jumped on superhero books. People going, who's this Bendis guy? He's writing every single book. This is what he was really, really good at, ultimately. I still love his Avengers, don't get me wrong. But when it came to the crime writing stuff, he nailed it, and he won awards. He was the best. So Sam and Twitch, I think, is going to be 2 volumes. This is a hardcover, which I didn't realize. I thought it was a trade. Why did I think it was a trade? But yeah, it's nice because I don't know much about Spawn. I've read issue 1. I think at the point when I read this, when they released I think it was a trade paperback, I'd only read Spawn issue 1. And then I read Sam and Twitch, so I had no real concept. I think it stands well enough alone. So if you just want a crime story with some kind of supernatural elements, I believe there are supernatural elements, this is a good place to go. If you like Bendis, you've got a hit right here. But that's it. I don't remember it overly well because it was a long time ago since I read it. We're talking like 25 years because I'm that old. But yeah, pick it up. Grab it, support this thing, because the more they're going to do, the more Spawn stuff they'll do. And I actually want to get the whole Spawn library together and do a big old Spawn read through and a big old Spawn reading order. But there's a part of me, because I've got a number of all the compendiums of Spawn they've released so far. I'm intrigued, and I know it's probably kind of going to be like, what McFarlane's like. It's all hyperbole, like, here comes Spawn, here he comes, it's Spawn, like Sylvester. But like I want to read it. I like his hyperbole. I like the way he does it. It does sell me on it. I don't care. He is one of those creators that, I mean, I don't really like his Spider-Man series that he launched, but there's still a part of me that will happily sit and read it, but give it a shot. It's Bendis at the peak of his career.
Our Spider-Man segue actually goes well with my next pick, which is a Amazing Spider-Man omnibus from Dave McElhinney and Mark Bagley. Which comes out July 16th. This, again, is my childhood, just like you brought up about the Spider-Man Todd McFarlane Torment stuff. I remember Spider-Man looking like this when I was in grade 5, like that kind of pivotal time of your life where kids argue about who would beat who in a fight. And right around this time was when Mark Bagley was drawing Spider-Man. I remember trading comic books at school with his artwork, not knowing that it was him. It was just Spider-Man books. It looked cool. It's fun stuff. It's a fun time for Spider-Man. It's really what it is.
I see what it goes up to. So it starts off with the Doctor Doom versus and Tri-Sentinel story. So it's a sequel to the Acts of Vengeance story. I can't remember 100% of what's in it between then and 375, but 375 is the story where he fights Venom, and that story then leads into Lethal Protector, which was when Venom got his own series. So it's like it's quite a key 90s Spider-Man era, you know. And that was, I think,
Yeah.
probably when it was, and you know, I could be shouted down about this, but this is probably when it was at its best before it then started to kind of get into clone stuff and like the big money stuff of like Venom's now going to be a kind of anti-hero kind of. This was fun, and I did want this book, but it's just it was competing with so much else.
Yeah, it's a good month.
It
But
is a good
I mean, I'm
month.
not picking this up because I have all of these things collected in Epic Collection on purpose. Like I have a chunk of Amazing Spider-Man, especially the just before the McFarlane. I have McFarlane in an omnibus. Found it for a great price. Couldn't pass it up. But I got the Amazing Spider-Man stuff that is just after Roger Stern, and then everything that leads up to the Clone Saga. I have an Epic Collection,
Oh, I
all
see.
buttoned up.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have this stuff, and I just kind of put it together
Oh, I
recently.
love
So it's
that.
like I'm not gonna buy this now
Mm.
because then I feel like I got to get the Eric Larson one, and all of that is already collected and buttoned up. So I'm good, but I'm happy that it's coming out because I know, you know, collectors such as yourself would have had this on their shelf because it is pretty. It's a good time for Spider-Man in the '90s. Just fun,
Yeah,
popcorn stuff,
it is
and it
popcorn
looks
stuff.
great. Looks great. It just makes me think of watching Spider-Man the animated series. Your number three. Take
Lovely
it away.
stuff. My number three, dude, is this is from DSTLRY, who are a new comics company. This is the one book I've ordered from them so far. There is another book that's from Christian Ward that I do intend picking up, but this will be my first DSTLRY purchase. It's by Becky Cloonan, Chula Lote. It's called Somna. I'm going to do the blurb, and then I'm going to raise the blurb from my. Oh my god, this is a massive blurb. I'll keep it to the point.
Read it. Read the
Becky
blurb.
Cloonan and Chula Lote both writing and drawing a graphic novel together for the first time, set amidst the terrifying backdrop of the witch hunts in a quiet 1600s English village. Somna follows one woman's descent into an erotic escape from the confines of her puritanical world. I won't read the whole thing. To me, the selling point of the two creators. I love Chula Lote, as I've mentioned on 2 episodes recently. She did those incredible covers for Rebels, which is the reason I picked up the book. She has so many covers. They're just stunning covers. But Becky Cloonan, I've been a fan of. I'm not sure what sold me. I think I picked up Demo, which was from her and Brian Wood. And I wasn't keen on Brian Wood's writing, but oh my god, I love Becky Cloonan's art. And she did something different in each issue as well to suit the style of whatever the story was. And it's very. It always seems like derogatory to say something is simple, but it's like it's very toned down. It's not overly complex. It's a really nice style. I can't explain what she does so well, but it's just the simplicity of it. There's almost like a Magnolia side of it, you know. There's something there. There's something that might well be inspired by that. I love her stuff so much, and it's her and Chula Lote together on this book. It's like they say, it's a descent into an erotic escape from the confines of their puritanical world. Can't say it twice even. This is a sexy book, and that sold it for me. That's enough. Thanks. No, it is like it looks like it because Chula Lote loves her sexy stuff. You know, she does a lot of this kind of suggestive or erotic stuff. Becky Cloonan, I think, has done less off the top of my head, but she tends to do the kind of more gothic style.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that kind of witch hunt stuff or medieval or
She finds
um,
a way to give you dark without it being overtly dark.
yeah, and it feels like a fun goth book. If
Yeah.
even if you're whether you're goth or not, and I was like I wished I was goth, but I didn't like the music. You know, I had the eyeliner and the nail varnish, but I didn't. I hated the music. So this doesn't have the music, so it's perfect for me. Hey, so in a little flippy flips to this week, old to the Omniverse, our top 5 most looked at posts, at least from a reading order perspective. Number 5 is Secret Wars 1984-1985. That's the original Secret Wars run. Number 4 is Day of Judgment, the DC Comics event from 1999, which is a bit of a surprise turn. Number 3, the Warworld Saga. Invincible Universe reading order is number 2. It also includes Invincible's appearances in other titles around the Image universe, in inverted commas. Our number 1 reading order, though, which is essentially our number 1 reading order every single month, is Ultimate Spider-Man, Peter Parker reading order 2000 to 2018. That's the series, man. It's such an amazing series. No pun. Wait a minute. Intend that
We
pun.
intend that pun.
Hells yeah. Now, new to the Omniverse, we have
Nice.
events
like
and
that.
crossovers. Avengers Disassembled. We've also got the search for Mira. I never know how to pronounce her name. Oh my God, I love it. It's awful in every conceivable way. And I had so much fun reading it. It was just, it makes no sense. What? Podcast and video, we've got the Comic Speakeasy. It's led by the question, are you a mutant or an inhuman? And it's where it's Eric's questions fired at me. But there's tons of other questions, and we have a nice little geek out and a few drinks. Mine was coffee. Just added.
Nice.
Top 10 maxi series is now live, so jump on if you didn't watch the live, jump on if you did. We also have a special feature from Raph Reads.
Yeah.
It's top 10 classic sports manga.
I will say the last couple of
go for it.
episodes we've done have been a lot of fun. The Speakeasy was fun. The Maxi series, they've been a couple good ones. Yeah. If you missed them, check them out.
It's
They're
great.
fun.
It's I don't know what it is, but we're hitting a really nice stride, I think, and it feels fun, and I hope people are feeling it too.
And the Omniverse continues to grow.
The Omniverse continues to grow.
Okay. All right. Incoming for July, my number third pick. I'm gonna go with a book that I only owned it digitally. I can't really speak to how it reads now, but it is a creator who I speak of often, and that's Daniel Warren Johnson's Space Mullet, which comes out July 23rd. If memory serves, once upon a time I did have Daniel Warren Johnson on my podcast, which was a great thrill for me. It was right when Murder Falcon was first coming out, and I had read parts of Space Mullet in preparation for it, but I didn't get a chance to finish it in time. But this is his first. This is what he kind of cut his teeth on and first got printed at Image Comics, which of course, by the title, Murder Falcon, Space Mullet, Extremity, it's Daniel Warren Johnson, right? Do a power bomb.
What's Do a Power Bomb?
It's a hidden gem. Yeah, it's a hidden gem. You gotta look for it.
Well
but in all
well
honesty,
played.
Space Mullet may very well fit into a hidden gem of his collection.
It
because
is,
it's Earth,
yeah, no, totally.
right? So it's getting a release. It's a reasonable price. It's got a good page count for the price that you're getting. It's a space fantasy fair type of deal. I don't remember all the details about it, but it's Daniel Warren Johnson doing his thing. It's going to be big aliens, big fight scenes. Give it a shot. I don't know if it's recolored, but it looks like it's been repackaged.
Oh, really?
A little bit. But it's being re-released, and it deserves to stay on. His stuff is fun. It's great entry-level stuff. It's pretty all-age, reader-friendly. As intense as some of his books can be, you can give it to a kid. It's not like I don't remember any curse words in it.
I bet there's tons now.
I don't think so.
I don't think he tends to do it. Is it oh, it's paperback.
It's a paperback. I think it's just under $20, which is a pretty reasonable price for the page count that you get. Yeah. It's like 200 or so pages plus. But anyways, I always feel necessary to shout out DWJ. He's a sweet guy. Every time people do talk to him or you hear him on shows, he's always putting his, I don't know, just one of those guys you're rooting for to win. And this being one of his first books, add it to the collection. You're number 4.
Okay, number 4, I'm going to go in super blind. I literally know very little. I don't know if it was a regular feature in 2000 AD and then turned into a book, but this is Rogue Trooper. Rogue Trooper has always kind of appealed to me because I like the name. I just like, it just sounds anarchic and kind of punky. You know what I mean? I love that kind of stuff. Right. And he's this blue-skinned soldier thing. I don't know if he's a cyborg. I know so little about it. I think someone gave me an issue of Rogue Trooper once, and I never even got around to reading it. But this is a hardcover. It's 96 pages, so it's that kind of like old-school graphic novel length. It's Rogue Trooper Blighty Valley, and it's written by Garth Ennis. The art is by Patrick Goddard, not an artist I'm familiar with. And that's due out as like in hardcover format in July. That's kind of all I've got. But I mean, I'm finding it really interesting at the minute that 2000 AD are really tapping into that hardcover crowd and the book collector crowd. And I'm not 100. I think there's some stuff they're producing that seems like it's like fresh. They're just aiming at that audience, but they also do 2000 AD every however often it's produced. I've literally never bought an issue of 2000 AD, which as an Englishman, I should be hung by the balls for, I'm sure. But, I mean, it's Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis has been a bit hit and miss in more recent years, if I'm honest. It's not going to win us an interview with him at any point saying that, but I kind of feel like it's true. I'm intrigued to see what he's doing. He's always sounded like a 2000 AD guy to me. So let's see what he does with something like this. So he used to do 2000 AD back in the day. So it's going back to his roots.
Speaking of things that I've pre-purchased while I was preparing for this episode was from Image Comics. It is Bone Orchard Tenement. I'm not sure what this is as a whole. If this is a spin-off of Bone Orchard. Okay.
I think it is. Dude, I'm not 100%.
I'm not sure either. But it's Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino. I like the two of those creators together. There's a couple things from them that I've desperately wanted to read. One of them is Old Man Logan. I don't know why they've never... I don't know if they put out a deluxe version of that, or they never did an omnibus.
Trade or something? I can't remember. I'll double check.
But I was always waiting for his entire run to be completed and finished. There you go. Nice. He had a little mustache on top of the mustache. But the tenement, the book sounds really interesting because it's 10 issues dealing with 10 different people living in this tenement apartment and how their stories kind of intertwine. I'm going in blind, strictly off of the creative team. And I think Jeff Lemire, when he's doing his own thing, is operating at his best. I prefer him independent, I think. One of the few guys that some of his comic book stuff is great. His Valiant, shout out to Valiant. His Valiant stuff is phenomenal. But again, it has a little bit more of an independent feel because you're not bogged down by years of make sure nothing changes too much.
Yeah.
I'll retrace my steps for 1 second. In Tenement, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino bring you the story of 7 residents of a building and the dark secrets that bind them together. 7 residents. It's not 10. But either way, it's kind of a horror, mind melding, mystery. How does this all work together? I don't know. I'm not sure really what it's about. But the simple premise of it and the way the art looks in the sample pages was enough to make me go, wow. I like the team. And the last thing I read from Jeff Lemire was Black Hammer, the Library Edition, Volume 2. Very, very good. So my last encounter with him has left a good memory. Sorry, but yeah, give it a chance. I hit my mic. I don't know.
That's all right.
Loud bang. Your last one for the incoming.
Okay, my last one for incoming. My 5th choice for tonight is actually one that I thought would be nabbed. It's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Deluxe Edition. It's hardcover. It's 256 pages, which is beautiful. 8 issues, the whole story. The art is by Bilquis Evely. It's written by Tom King. Now, this is apparently the basis for the upcoming Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow film, which is why they're re-releasing it. I'm super excited for this, man. And the cover for this book as well is there's something really mystical about it. I can't really explain it other than that.
Great word, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's great. And it looks stunning. It sounds like a great Supergirl story. Did it win an award? Yes,
I think Hugo it might
Award.
Have.
Best graphic novel, graphic story or comic.
I haven't read this.
Well, Meat Trunk says he has read it and it's a fantastic story, and he's got taste, that dude. So
okay,
yeah, it's due out on 23rd of July, so towards the end of the month, unless you're looking at mainstream comic shop, unless you're looking at comic shops, in which case it's probably slightly earlier. 256 pages, oversized hardcover, Tom King. I mean, Bilquis Evely's art is amazing looking on it. If you look at those pages,
I
can't
might
go wrong.
switch around. I might switch around a pick or something that I pre-ordered this month to pick
Oh,
that up instead.
okay. Do it.
Perhaps.
Do it. All right. But yeah, that's my final choice for the night.
Final choice. Should I go? I'm gonna go with something that I pre-ordered, and that's the Robin Compendium,
Oh, you have Tim Drake.
the Tim Drake. Yes, I've pre-ordered that. I'm not sure how committed I'm gonna be to getting all of the compendiums that would collect this.
No?
And I noticed that looking at the what's contained in this, it's all the initial mini series mainly before the main series
Yeah.
starts. And when I think of this series, I think of Tom Grummett art, and that's really what I want. What I
Oh,
want from
okay.
it. I love the Tom Grummett art of that time. It makes me feel it's kind of like my DC. The way I think of Mark Bagley on Spider-Man is how I think of Tom Grummett with DC in the 90s. The way he drew Superman, the way he drew Robin, it was
Yeah.
always my favorite. I didn't realize artists yet. I was still too young, but I always liked that rendering, and it turned out it was Tom Grummett. So I just want to read these Tim Drake books drawn by Tom Grummett mainly. And Tom Lyle is one of the main artists in this with the other miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Dixon's the writer. I mean, Chuck Dixon could really write comics,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I think
Especially
he's
those
a
Bat books.
yeah. During that time, I think people remember and acknowledge that, but I don't know if they talk about it enough. He's kind of one of those writers that might be a little underrated, considering how much of an impact he made on such a key character for quite a while. All across the Bat books, Robin and Batman, and I think he even did Nightwing for a
He
while,
did.
as well as Birds of
Birds of
Prey.
Prey.
Like you know what I mean? And so with this Tim Drake, I feel like that's the Tim Drake that I remember in the comics. This version.
Yeah. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, the thing as well, of course, they chuck in loads of detective and Batman stories as well, so it kind of makes sense where he's come from. Actually, it looks like in terms of the main series, it's only the first 5 issues.
Yeah, everything is like miniseries feel.
Yeah.
But they all lead into each other. They all pick up. I've read a couple of those
A lot of
because I
crossovers.
collected the Robin. I think I still have them. The first 2 or 3, they made like complete collections of them for a while.
Yeah, I
I don't know
have
if
them
you
as
remember
well.
those.
Yeah.
I had
It's
a
about
bunch
5
of those,
volumes or something.
something like that, and I didn't finish it.
Uh-huh. I don't think
But I
they
remember
did.
no, and that was the thing. I'm like, they're not even gonna finish this.
No.
So maybe the compendium is a step in the right direction. I didn't invest in the Green Lantern Kyle Rayner. I don't think I will. I don't like the artwork in it. I flipped through it. I'm like, I don't think I can sit through this art for this long.
I will because of what follows. And I think that's the same with the Tim Drake Robert. I must admit, I don't like Tom Lyle's art. I've never liked Tom Lyle's art. I find it too stiff. But I know that when it gets to volume 2, 3, you've got Mike Waringo in there. So like that's what's making me go, "Do you know what? I'm gonna get volume 1 to get volume 2."
Yeah. That's the same. So I'm not making a good sales pitch for it, but this is classic Tim Drake Robin, who I feel is such an essential member of the Bat family, especially in the 90s. Like he was such
Yeah.
a cool character. He was like, I don't know, he was my Robin.
Well, he was kind of
Jason
in some ways he was kind of the cooler Robin in that he was the
He was a
smart
smart
Robin.
one, and he had the bow staff, and he wasn't in
Yeah.
the tight leotard, and like his suit
Yeah.
was cooler, and yeah, like this Robin's cool, and he's got the little red car. He had to have a
Oh
special
yeah.
license because his dad was in a wheelchair. Like it was cool. It was like, oh, I could have a car 13, right? Like it had that wish fulfillment a little bit to it.
Yeah.
So I got a fondness for this Robin. I guess we're getting into the alternates, but my Marvel choice would have been something we've spoken about before, which is Uncanny X-Force from Rick Remender.
Oh yeah.
Can't go wrong if you want to just pick up a book blind and it's X related. It's got continuity, but it's not completely bogged down with it. The more you know, the better it'll be, but you can just read it and it's awesome. You got Deadpool and Wolverine, Phantom X, Psylocke on the same team. Who? Angel, Archangel.
Archangel, Psylocke, Phantom X, Deathlock is also in there as well, which is really random. Deadpool, Wolverine, yeah.
So that was the Marvel pick, and the Image one would have been Fatale Compendium. I've never read
Oh,
Fatale, but Ed Brubaker is a pretty safe bet if you want to read
it's
what's a good
really
book.
good. Yeah,
Read Ed Brubaker comics.
yeah. No, it's a really good book. I read Fatale was one of the first books I read when I stopped reading Marvel, but also had just had kids, and I found it quite a hard read because of that. Because some of it's quite like when you do have kids, you're kind of going, oh. So it's not like reading. Is it good? Yeah, it's really good. It's a great noir, kind of noir Cthulhu mythos kind of story.
Mm.
I had a weird list of randomness. One of them was slightly exaggerated, which is from Dark Horse Comics. It's an interesting looking fantasy series. Madman Library Edition, Volume 6. Again, don't normally mention those books that are later volumes, but this wraps up the Michael Red Madman collection, finally. 6 volumes. Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Omnibus, Volume 1. That, I think, then leads into the Devil's Reign Omnibus that came out a few months back, so it's a very weird way to release them, but here we go. That's how they've done it. Anything with Daredevil, I'll buy it. I don't give a shit. Batman and Robin Adventures Omnibus is also coming out in July. Also, Hitman Omnibus, Justice League versus Godzilla versus King Kong, which does appeal to me on a stupid level. That's more stupidity that really just sucks me in.
Cool. All right, we did it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Peace.
Bye, guys.